And we are live.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Steve. So it's been a couple weeks since we've had a talk. I'm Dan Taylor. I'm doing the introduction that I always forget to do. I am Dan Taylor. I'm the dungeon master and creator and showrunner and producer of Catacombs and Comedians, the live actual play Dungeons and Dragons show featuring stand-up comedians. And also create other content for former comic book creator, etc. So, who the hell are you, Steve?
My name is Steve Conley. I'm a web cartoonist. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age. I also create some TTRPG content. I'm creating TTRPG content. The most recent thing being a subclass for 5e called Intoximancy, which is going to go digitally out to my supporters from the last Kickstarter this week. So before
Oh,
Thanksgiving, give folks one more reason to be thankful.
yeah, I still haven't gotten my Oddity off print out just because I keep hitting hurdles in this last. Let's go ahead and get into it. We weren't on last week because unfortunately my mother did pass away. Let's be about a week and a half ago. And so that was supposed to be the week of the premiere of Catacombs and Comedians on Twitch and the whole, I was getting the final stages. I was getting ready to get all shipping stuff ready together. And yeah, so that happened. And we're going to discuss that. I'm not, this is part of my therapy. I think this to get it over, and discuss it because something like this happens. We moved my mother out from her home in Nevada out here to Nashville about 3 years ago. And she wasn't in the best of health. And it was kind of a big thing. And I'm not going to get into the dramatics of everything that went down, though. I'll tell you, it's a good story to tell you later, Steve, but not on the stream. But so my mom's gone. And it's, I got to be serious. I've got to be, honest here. It has done a major blow to my creative outlet and my, usual desire to create right now, which I'm not saying I'm done. It's kind of given me a forced break, I think.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Oh, no, totally does. Totally does.
Um, so, I'm not going to say everything's on hold. It's just everything's been delayed. And that includes all aspects of Catacombs Comedians, but not much because the next live show is scheduled in Huntsville on December 7th. And I'm not the dungeon master of that show. Where one of the players is going to do it, and he's going to do his own Star Trek type themed Dungeons and Dragons show. And that's, fine. I think I'm going to play Klingon. So I've been brushing up on my Klingon. And, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go into that game just like all my performers and players go into our games with no preparation.
Barely showered.
Yeah, just whatever. I come in regular. Yeah, give me some chicken tenders and a scotch. And then so the next live show of Catacombs and Comedians, where I've DM'd the Dungeon Math or the D&D aspect of it, is January 24th. So that's a good space away. Because we're kind of taking a break because of the holidays anyway. People are busy. Things are busy. People have other things to do than go watch, comedians do Dungeons and Dragons. As for the Twitch program, Catacombs and Comedians, Wrath of the Aristocrats. I don't want to get on Disney lawsuit with the cats. I don't have a set date for that to start again. I may wait until the holidays are over just because the holidays,
Right.
Things are going on. Because if I try to schedule, that was like every other Wednesday. Well, I can't. This Wednesday is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So that's not going to work out. Then we're getting well into December and stuff like that. So I think that might be after January 1st. So what I'm saying is Catacombs Comedians will be back after the first of the year, I think, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
That's
good. That's perfect. Because I mean, I know a lot of CPUs right now are used for processing other stuff right now. And, getting a chance to get the Kickstarter finished, that's probably enough of a that's enough to keep you in the mix and enough to keep you cooking and cogitating and planning for what happens next and planning for February if you're going to do something for the
Yeah,
next Scene
I
Quest.
still, because I don't want this to be a kick in the crotch and send me to my knees
No.
here. So it's just I've got to.
It's just a realistically understanding how this affects a person and how it's like you gotta, yeah.
I mean,
you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, because let's be honest, my mom's one of my muses. Even though she didn't understand what I'm doing, it was always, my mom.
Right.
Oh, that's great, honey. She
Right.
had one of those Catacombs of Comedian skull posters hanging in her apartment, just
That's
because
right.
she's my mom. She backed every Kickstarter I ever did with
Oh,
Hero Happy Hour. In fact, our first Hero Happy Hour one, it was shortly after the death of my father, is when we did our first Hero Happy Hour, Chris Faison and I, and we were going to follow about a grand short of our goal, and Mom just kicked in the grand to put us over the.
that is so sweet.
Yeah, so she's always been a big supporter of me creatively, and so she always asking me how my writing's going, what I'm working on, and she had no idea what it was or what I'm doing, and and of course my mom was always a great, huge supporter when I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. Her dining room table would be taken over by me and my other fellow 12-year-olds. And of course Mom had to feed and, Kool-Aid and sodas and, all the kids in the neighborhood who played Dungeons and Dragons with me. I mean, she was a second mom to a number of my players who so it's just, I haven't done, I'm not crawling into a ball or, I still got the day job I got to do. That's a big chunk of my day-to-day life. I've got other, things I'm not working on anything really at all right now, just taking sort of a mental sabbatical, I think.
Good. Excellent.
So you better have a whole lot of stuff you're working on.
Always. But I definitely appreciate, I think it was, I think I got my first gig with DC Comics, writing an Aquaman story, and I think it was around that time that my mom had passed, and how much of like my life was just in turmoil because it's like I've got these deadlines. Everyone there was super understanding at DC Comics. They were very sweet because they knew I was like hadn't done any real work for a real publisher. Image.
Yeah.
I'd done stuff for that, but I hadn't done anything with their licensed babies. And they were super understanding and but it knocked me sideways. It was like it was just impossible to process. There's so much stuff to do logistically,
Mm-hmm.
let alone grief and let me just re-examine every interaction I ever had with her.
Yeah, I mean, after I'm done with you today, I got to go to her apartment and move all her stuff out.
Right.
So
the littlest things in the world.
Yeah.
Every little thing. So yeah. Your to-do list is packed. But oh, sorry.
No, go.
No, but so I will be, if you just want to tune in on Sundays and just say, okay, Conley, what are you working on? I'm happy to do that. On Tuesdays, did I say Tuesdays? Sundays? My head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is part of it. I was so close to just doing it last Sunday with you, but I just couldn't, pull my stuff together or shit together. Let's be honest. And, and I was so looking forward to this chat just because this is the road to get back to going into a regular thing. And, these Sunday morning chats with you are a great inspiration. Okay, that's what Steve's working on. I told him what I'm working on.
If Conley can do it, I can do it.
I mean, he survives a hurricane every other week. He's got to deal with Florida man here, Florida man there. So
is this our first? I think we missed a hurricane because I was hit by another second hurricane 2 weeks ago. It was much nicer. It was not that it was nice, but it was where I'm at. It was a drier hurricane, so it was no. It's the wind is one thing, but it's everything getting soaking wet and then being hit by 80-mile-an-hour winds that topples stuff. And so it was much easier on me this time around.
But so the plan, so let me just again reiterate, the next live show, Catacombs Comedians, is in Huntsville for a Star Trek special edition that I'm not dealing with. January 24th is our regular Catacombs of Convenience. I started season 2. We'll have some new players. I'm going through the middle of getting new players organized. So that's another thing going on. I'm like, okay, all you people I've been talking to who are possible players, I'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks after this all blows over. You know?
I saw the startup of a one stream on Twitch. I thought it was really interesting. They had one-off sort of backstories with characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the Dungeon Master. It was a tag team Dungeon Masters, which is something I'd never seen before. 2 Dungeon Masters, 1 player.
I think I've rented that movie once.
But they had these kind of one shots where it was, let's get this character their backstory, let's get this character used to this, and I imagine that would have been a much easier thing to get them acclimated to the roles that they're playing or that the character that they're embodying, while not competing with other people for who can riff. It's not like to just lower the whose line is it anyway quality a little bit. And it was interesting because I also imagine it was a hell of a lot easier to schedule.
Yeah.
Just one person. And
no, yeah, but it depends how many players you have. And then if you're going to air them all, type of thing. No, I mean, yeah, all my players have been understanding, so that's not, a problem. And, there's no new players for the streaming one. And this just gives us more time to, nail down the real details and get things ready. But not that I'm spending all this time working on details right now, but why go in half-assed if I can't commit to it fully? And
sure.
And I just delays is bothering me. But I want to do this right rather than just throw it out there.
Right.
Regurgitate a regular thing. So.
Yeah, there's I want to get a shirt in Latin that just says "It's always something," because it feels like it's always something. It's just we never get a break.
So that's my personal update in a nutshell. Other than I bought a model train yesterday just to give me something else creative to work. Because I'm like, well, I can work on my Dungeons and Dragons and writing, but I'm not feeling that right now. Maybe if I find something creative to do with my hands,
right,
that'll, let my mind start to wander and click, have those, synopses start to snap again.
Right.
And whatever. So, so I dropped $150 on a model train. It's, I don't know, a piece of plywood in my garage right now. So we'll see where that goes.
Is it like the size of a pool table? Is it going to go around a Christmas tree? How big is this thing?
It's a little N gauge. So, each car is about that big.
Gotcha.
And it's just on a 3 by 2 foot piece of plywood. So, but it's something I've always wanted to do. And I think here's the weird thing. Back when I was like 12, my dad wanted to do a model train with me, and he bought the big 8 by 4 foot piece of plywood and framed it up, and we start to lay tracks down on it. But, things happened and Dad ran out of interest, or I didn't seem interested enough as a kid. Probably because that damn Dungeons and Dragons was getting in the way. And that, a piece of plywood became, the roof of a fort out in the garage or out in the backyard instead of a train layout, so, and, then my dad passing away like 8 years ago. My mom passing away now. It might be a thing where I'm going back to, trying to reconnect or something. So I don't know. I'm getting, so you're my goddamn therapist, Steve. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I think when we started this, I thought that's what I didn't think. I think this is going to be just the two of us just spouting off or riffing or confessing. This is confessional. This is Jamar calls his Thursday night. Jamar Nicholas, cartoonist, he has a coffee break with Jamar Nicholas on Thursday nights, and he calls it tabernacle sometimes. I feel like this is but that's all part of it. It's all part of it. It's like create, all the stuff about creating is never done in this idyllic kind of environment where there are no distractions. There's no life going on. There isn't like, an ache or a pain or a heartache or a bill or some sort of deadline hanging over you. The real world is like always at us while we're trying to carve these little realms of fantasy.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to escape the real world you know, we're
Yeah,
dealing with.
or project a little bit of a better world into the real world. Um, and I feel like partly it's an escape, but partly it's this, we also have this weird capitalist thing pressing on us all the time. Like it's a thing we love, therefore we have to somehow turn it into a money making machine. It's this like, and then in this culture, it's like, well, if it's not making money, then it's not a success. It's like, well, can it be a success on its own? And it's like you could have a thing where it's like, well, how does that can't be the only metric of success. It has to be the thing that gives you joy. It has to be, and to me, that's where we go. And if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make money, because like Citizen Kane, if you wanted to make money, it's easy to make money if all you want to do is make money. And we're not taking that easy air path. There's day jobs, there's office building jobs, there's things that do to make money, and this can't be it. And I think if you put that pressure on the thing, I feel like if I put the pressure on the thing, I can't have fun with it, because I'm like trying to milk my audience for cash. I'm like, no, that's gross. And that's what working for Walmart's for.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I've never, but I mean, I'm not in a position to just spend, because I got to spend a lot to create this show.
Sure.
And I don't know if you saw my little post I did yesterday, how we inherited the good china and linen, which is paper plates and a pack of paper napkins from my mom. So there's not a great inheritance there,
right?
So there's not. So yeah, part of making money for your hobby, something that brings you joy, is an unfortunate aspect of being creative. And there's also that, if you're like me, that's while an introvert, I'm still that look at me, let me be noticed. And, I want as many eyeballs on it as possible. So
that's really interesting. That really is interesting. I've wanted to do a video. I have like a YouTube channel where I talk tips for comics creation, web comics people specifically. And that's a really low end kind of like almost anti-capitalist layer of comics where you barely make any money, but everyone there is they're scrappers. They're all trying to land the next thing and turn it into, how do I make money? Because to me, it's a thing where it just has to make enough money to make it a valid excuse to get out of other commitments. like if I make $100 from something like in a recurring way, then if someone says, hey, do you want to go out? I can't, I got to do this thing. Like, cause I gotta make these 10 Patreon supporters happy. And I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have to, that's my job. Suddenly that saying it's my job is this kind of thing which gets you out of, which allows you the social currency to focus on the creative nonsense that for some reason we have this brain damage that makes us want to do this. Because there's a million other ways you could be busking right now. You could learn to play I don't know, a banjo and just sit on a corner and get attention and a few bucks.
No,
it's totally legit. So, but why this? Why this thing? Why? Is it because it was these seeds were planted when you were 12?
It had to be. It's something well, let's see, what would my dream, creativity thing be? And well, I don't know what it is. Maybe because when I was a kid, I wanted to be Steven Spielberg. I just wanted to make movies.
Really?
Oh yeah. It was all about, I mean, I went to Cal State Long Beach and majored in film. It was all, I had a Super 8 camera. I made little movies. I was into the special effects makeup. I'd make my brother into a zombie and stuff like that. So I think Dungeons and Dragons was part of that. It's, because every time you played, you're making a little movie sort of, but it's just a theater of the mind type of thing. So I mean, to be honest, just because of it's my familiarity with role-playing games and Dungeons and Dragons, that it's the easy way for me to be creative.
That's a legit choice. Partly, I feel like that's a self-effacing way of putting it. I think you're saying it's easy. It's easy,
but it's not easy. And I'm not saying it's easy.
Right. It's to you, it's the thing that comes more naturally. You know what I mean? That's what makes it easy. It's like, it's people sometimes they're like, well, this is the easy thing to do, they're from doing it. It's like, no, that's not appeal, that's not an appeal to laziness, that's an appeal toward finding your groove.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I mean, because, I've tried to write the great American novel. That's hard. I've written, I think 7 or 8 screenplays in my life, feature-length screenplays.
Wow.
And they went nowhere. Not that a lot of eyeballs saw them, and some of them were seen. I will tell you this, Francis Ford Coppola called one of my screenplays cute.
That's amazing.
That's something.
That's amazing.
But that movie was never made. It kind of came. I mean, that same movie I had. You remember Gerardo, that performer, the singer? God, what was this song? It was. I mean, we're talking early '90s. God, what was this song? It's going to kill me until I can think of it. But it was like he was a one-hit wonder pop type of guy. He did that song El Rico Suave. That was a song. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely, I know. I remember the word. I think I remember it more as a punchline and like,
Yeah, it was kind of like an Ice Ice Baby type of thing,
Right.
So I remember I was out one night and I came home. This is back when we had answering machines, and there was a phone message from Gerardo saying, "Hey, I read your script. This is perfect for me." Telling me how he was going to be the main guy in the movie.
Wow.
His agent was trying to, because somehow my screenplay ended up it got as far as being delivered to various places. I mean, somebody was working on it to see if somebody would bite it, take a bite and run with it. It was Gerardo and Luke Perry. No, not Luke Perry. Who was the other guy from 90210? Who played Brandon? I
don't know. I never saw it.
But he was attached to it for a while, So it was. I mean, it's very weird. I've got plenty of these kind of weird little Hollywood stories. But yeah, none of my movies screenplays sold. I did sell one screenplay, but that was one I was hired to write. It was a work for hire type thing.
Was the process of writing the screenplays fun? Do you enjoy writing them, or just because that's also a thing. Like sometimes it's like it's more fun to have the thing done than having done the thing. And I don't know where there's like, you know what I mean? There's like people that's about that.
Well, here's the deal. I say I'm a writer. I love to write. I would love, like I said, I would love to write that great American novel. I would love to write, this, huge novel. But I'm lazy.
Energy efficient.
And I have the attention span of a gnat. So a screenplay is little more than an outline for a novel.
Right.
It's a novel without the adverbs and adjectives.
Sure.
You just do the verbs and nouns for the most part, and the dialogue. And I got into that with comic books too. I was too lazy to be an artist. So I will just write an outline of the comic. And
I find writers are just, you have to spend so much time hustling and finding the artist and finding a reliable artist and finding a partner who can understand your work and deliver what you're picturing or making it better, you would hope. And I found I was part of a webcomic community very early on in the history of the internet. Like in 98, we launched comiccon.com, and I got to know quite a few comic writers who had little virtual booths on this site. And I was helping them with their website. Like, so basically this is like their first website was this tiny booth, which was basically one page with contact information, how to buy a page,
I remember it. Yeah.
And the writers who had booths there, I'm not going to name them, but they were they wouldn't stop calling. They would be like, can we tweak this? Can we change this? Can we do that? Blah, 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 blah. And I realized part it was the artists would just be, I don't care. The writers were so, aggressive is the wrong word. So involved.
Driven.
And had to be. They had to be people who shook trees all day long to make things happen. And that it made me think, oh no. There's a person who's just a writer, and especially in comics and a visual medium, have to work twice as hard as artists do. I think. I mean, it's at least as they don't spend as much time in the craft part of it.
Exactly.
But holy cow, the amount of work.
No, and when I was doing the comic with Hero Happy Hour, that's part of my mindset, which I'm still in with Catacombs and Comedians and Zero Level Media and all the I'm still out there. Okay, look at this. Look what I'm working on this D&D. I'm still hustling, and hustling is exhausting, and it's the most exhausting part of being creative. And there's so many. The internet did a great thing by making it easy to get out there and be seen, but it also opened up a floodgate of other people getting seen and getting out there.
Right.
And so you've got to, I don't know, you've got to be, because I point blank, someone was telling me about it. I was talking to somebody at my day job today, and where I did a post like, look, my mother died. Catacombs and Comedians, I'm taking a little break. Don't worry, I will be back, and I'll get back at it. And she at work goes, you did not need to post that, because I don't know how it is in California, but in Nashville, we understand that. And I'm like, well, I just, I don't want to be forgotten. I've got this thing where if I'm, you got to walk that fine line of spamming and, always being, in the back of someone's mind.
Right. And
that's, I've got this fear that after, come January 24th, everybody's completely forgot about Catacombs and Comedians. And, and that's another thing. I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, Steve. When this whole thing happened, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to work on it for a week or so, or 2 weeks or a month. Should I just throw in the towel on this and, think of something new? And I can't. I put too much energy into it. And this has been the most successful project of mine in a long time. And I don't know, am I easily deterred? I mean, we already mentioned my attention span of a gnat. So,
It's tough. There's definitely a, I'll try this. Let's see if it works. Right? I'll try this. Let's see if it works. Or let's see if it's a success. And whatever that is, the definition of success is really what's the thing that you're going like. I feel like if you were to let this go, you'd regret it.
Right.
I would sense that. But you might look back at every project, because then it's a thought of like, okay, how many times do you try to do this to see if it'll catch? Like how many times? And it may, we almost did it. This one almost caught. And I was chasing that with Astounding Space Thrills for 10 years. And after a while, then it became like, I'll try this other thing for a year, and I'll do Socks and Barney. I'll do this other thing for a year. I'll do Bloop. And it wasn't until Patreon, and that was really the thing that helped me focus on the middle age. Was I had 15 Patreon supporters. It's all it took, because then it was like, I can't let them down. I can't lose them. I can't lose these people, because that's where I felt like if I lose them, I'm never getting them back. And that's not necessarily true, but that pressure, you feel like if I'm not delivering, if I'm not making them happy, if my reality becomes as bad as my low self-esteem, then I'll lose these folks. And so I have to keep working. I have to keep doing this stuff. So I don't know. I feel, to me, I also had a sense with when I started the middle age was that this is my last stab at it. If I don't do this, I'm going to go into advertising. I'll be doing web work. There's plenty of web work to do. And then I'd do little things on the side. I would do little side projects. Who knows, little art project here and there. But this would be my last stab. This was my last stab at a continuing narrative. And I don't think I had that mindset with any of the previous projects. It wasn't like, this is what I say every time. Mm-hmm. This really felt like I'm almost 50. This is going to be it. How many more shots at this am I going to get? And if I don't start investing in something now, it's always the sort of thing where someone says, when's the best time to have started? 5 years ago. Right? It's always, when was the best time to start? When was the best time to get on Twitter? 5 years ago. When was the best time to get on Facebook? 5 years ago. So 5 years from now, you'll be really happy you did Catacombs and Comedians now. right? You're going to be so happy you did it, because if you and the mailing list you've built up, and yes, there was a stumble now, but there's never going to be a good time. These stumbles were going to happen. I knew my mom was going to pass away, and she passed away. It sucked, but it was going to happen. I know at some point I'm going to have like a massive health problem during the process of all this. It's going to happen, but the people who love you will stick around. They always do. They because you brighten their day. Your show makes people laugh. They've got their dice. They've got your stickers. They've got your buttons.
They got my bribes.
Well, again, low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. They throw out bribes all day long. They get bribes in the mail all day long. They have tons of garbage that they just chuck and hand out postcards, and hand out buttons. But the few people who have them, it means something. I think, and again, the part of what you have is you've got a chemist, you've got an interesting niche, because you've got comedians doing live play in a comedy setting, which is a unique mix. I think, I don't know what it is that makes these things, at least in the live play. What do you call it?
Actual play.
Mm-hmm. In the actual play space, I don't know what that alchemy is that makes them successful. I went and saw the in theater Critical Role Mighty Nine thing on Thursday.
How was that?
Amazing. A room full of people who are just as nerdy about this stuff as I am. And they were all laughing at the same things. There's all these callbacks. They still ran their stupid ad at the beginning of the thing, and everyone's loving it. And all these, once the music kicked in, they were singing along to the theme song. I stepped away at one point because it started at 10 p.m. East Coast time, which was already tough for me. I had to drive it like an hour and a half to get there. And I knew it was going to run to like 2 a.m., which means I was going to come home to 3. I bailed at the intermission because I'm like, I got to drive home responsibly. But at some point, I'm like, I got to go get gummy bears. I'll pay $5 for theater gummy bears or Sour Patch Kids. I come back to the table, to my seat, and the young lady next to me goes, "Okay, they saw a person in the clouds." Like, basically, she was filling me in on the story that I had missed. I'm like, I've never seen that in a movie theater. You run to the lads, you come back, and the person next to you tells you what you missed.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It was beautiful. It was a lovely community thing. I went there solo. I was, and that could feel weird. I'm going to a movie by myself, kind of.
That's my favorite way to go to a we now at this point. So. Yeah.
So I go there, but there's a bunch of people like that. I think that I always talk about Comic-Con being that way, that all of us, we don't fit with the universe, and then Comic-Con happens, and then there's like this celestial alignment, and for one brief moment we all fit properly, and then come Monday we're the weirdos again.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like a nice little alignment there. It was really sweet.
See,
but anyway, I don't know what that alchemy is that makes that Critical Role so good. But I know, well, part of it's consistency, though, that Thursday night thing.
Yeah. I got to get consistency. Once this gets rolling, I got to get the consistency going, and and I got to be as good then Dungeon Master as Matt Mercer. No, it's I like I said, I'm not going. It's not going away. I'm not working out, but I've got to be able to express these moments of self-doubt are. Hurdles. Otherwise, they can manifest into something bigger. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think you got the success of the why am I out of the off print? You've got the next Zine Quest coming up in February. Those things will help. I think would help you keep on track.
Yeah.
So that. Especially given that not only will the show in January be a return to form, it'll also be a place to plug the launch page, which might be up by then. Because if you have your Zine Quest launch page ready to go sometime in January, it means you have to be building it in December, the video and all that stuff. So it's pretty soon we're going to have to be working on our Zine Quest things just so we can have the page approved, so that we can have a pre-launch page, so that when it goes live, not on the 1st, because we don't want to be swamped with everybody else, but when it goes live on the 5th, the 10th, whatever, that you have 50 people, 20 people to 50 people lined up And not only will you have that, be promoting whatever the second project is, but you'll also be able to upsell with the past one. So I think that's the thing, that it will grow. I don't think it's going to be, hopefully the same thing will happen with Intoximancy, where that won't be the big one. And then the comic book direct market mentality of, okay, issue 1 sells this much, issue 2 sells, every issue thereafter sells fewer. I think Kickstarter should function the opposite way, where project 1 will do okay. Everyone who is invested in that one will love it, and they'll come back for 2. Or 90% of them will come back for 2, and then all the new people will want a copy of the first one. I think it's going to work great. I think it'll be great.
Oh, I'm on board.
All right,
let's do it.
All right.
I'm
looking at myself when I'm saying this. I'm not looking at you right now. I'm looking at me. It'll be great. I swear it'll be great.
Have you figured out what you're doing yet?
No. I've got a few ideas, but I haven't. Someone said I should be doing more like a variation on Intoximancy. Do another one like that. And I don't like drunken bards or drunken rogues or drunken barbarians, something like that. Like each book would be a different drunken thing. I feel like it's a cute idea. I don't want to be that guy, and I don't feel like that's necessarily I feel like if I haven't used up every good joke about alcohol in the book 1, then I'm leaving too much. I'm not putting it all on the field, and I have to put all of it in the book 1, and then the next one has to be everything about the next stupid joke, or I do that adventure module because I just have a pun. I have a single pun that I want to turn into a whole thing. I just don't think it necessarily will be a particularly commercial idea, but joy versus money again.
So Steve will be launching Pungeons and Dragons.
No, because I also don't want it to be just that. I want it to be, because I do think that what made Intoximancy palatable from an unknown creator. I mean, yes, some of the people who supported my comic were on board, but so many people were not. That it was the idea that it was a fun and playable subclass, a fun, powerful, and playable subclass. And I think that's the key. It's the fun part, absolutely. The playable part, okay, dungeon masters don't think I've just broken their game by introducing this nonsense. And powerful is a direct appeal to the player. And I feel like that is I stumbled onto the right qualities, like if you had to chart them, what I needed to have in that. And so I don't want that to become necessarily a formula that makes everything in the future taste the same, but I want to recognize that those aspects were important. And if I sacrifice one of those aspects, that I know that going in. So I lower expectations. I know my expectations on this first one was very low to begin with. I think that's healthy. I think setting the bar as low as possible is a surefire way to succeed.
Yeah, but how are you going to top this one? I mean, you did pretty damn good with.
Well, it will succeed. Because how I'm going to top it is the 450 backers of this first one are going to love what they get. If they're not spitting up their drink on page 2 of this stupid thing, I'm like, there's a section on side effects of just being an Intoximancer. Not that this has nothing to do with gameplay. It has everything to do with stupid. It has everything to do with being fun to read. So it's like side effects include, I don't know, dancing lights, frequent urination, what is it? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and what was the other one? And Hogwarts, which is my favorite one. It's just Hogwarts. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means. But it's just stupid stuff where it's making me giggle as I'm writing it, and what is that? A sentence? And if that stupid sentence doesn't bring me 50 people back the next time, and that's before you get into the rules. So if these books are, if the books are pretty to look at, if they feel solid, if people feel like they got their money's worth, and if I'm a nice guy, that's the I don't know who said it. I heard Neil Gaiman popularize it, that if you're on time, talented, and nice, you just need 2 of those qualities. Well, we've already ruled out on time.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm not good on that one.
So as long as I'm nice and the book feels good, that it feels like they got something worth their time, and if they laugh, if they laugh, because I think they'll be like, okay, that was fun. I want another one. And I don't know. Maybe I'm stupidly optimistic. I'm going to be completely full of dread and doubting myself until the time I hit the launch button. But what else am I going to do?
Right.
I could make coloring books because that was hot for a little while, right? Let's make Beanie Babies. Those were hot for a little while. If we're tracing the trends, by the time I get anywhere near a trend, it'll be over. So I'm going to keep doing what makes me happy.
Let's discuss briefly, because it'll probably be worth covering when we know more detail about it. There's been rumbling that this new D&D or D&D 1, I forgot, what does the 1 come first or does it come after? I don't know. Will not be open gaming license.
I'm worried about that. I think that was the first thing we said when it came out. It was like, oh, that might not be the. Well, I absolutely understand that.
Yeah,
the idea
that.
Well, that means everyone's just going to keep playing 5.
And somebody pointed out, technically, the open gaming license is there, so you could still do something compatible with the new edition. You just don't have that luxury of saying it's compatible.
Yeah, I mean, Hasbro and all those are looking at all these Kickstarters. Matt Colville having a $2 million Kickstarter, and they're like, well, how much of that did we get? Nothing. Oh. So there will be, I imagine we could always run things through the Adventures League. What is it called? The proprietary
DM's Guild. The DM's Guild.
DM's Guild.
But I wonder if the DM's Guild is going to, if they're even going to bother with that.
Well, I think as long as the company's making money off of other people, I think they'll be happy. I don't know. For all I know, this will be. Well, how about this? There are a number of Kickstarters, specifically in Zine Quest, which were system agnostic. They had nothing to do with specific rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're again. I suspect that if one D&D, first of all, again, I want to say this before, the people who are running D&D right now are just lucky. They're like Joe Quesada, who happened to be sitting in the chair when Marvel hit Hollywood. Yeah. He's like, it was rotating people. It could have been anybody. It wasn't that person who was like, I mean, it was a talented person, but it's not that it was something they specifically, what did he do differently that got Hollywood interested? D&D in particular didn't do anything specific that got Hollywood interested. They got lucky with Critical Role. They got lucky with Stranger Things.
And COVID.
And COVID. Yeah. And the proliferation of Zoom cameras and the technology being there so we could all be on these things. All that stuff coalesced at a time. And now it feels like they're just trying to justify the next big thing. They still want to believe that their world is interesting. If that movie is all about the world, good luck. No one's ever left a theater going, man, that city. So I don't know what that, but so anyway, so they're lucky right now. But if they're going like, okay, we got this golden goose, let's kill it. 5e is going to be there. And that's what everyone's playing. To me, that's the reason why they had to say, hey, it'll be backwards compatible. It'll be backwards compatible. If it's backwards compatible, then all our 5e supplements will work with it. And if it's not compatible, then they lied. And so that's really what it comes down to. Did they lie? So if it's backwards compatible, I'll just keep producing 5e stuff.
Okay.
I think.
Always the optimist.
I'm a cartoonist that I did some TTRPG stuff. So, well, no, I'll just create my own game system. Let's do that. We'll just spin it off of 5e and do something similar to 5e, but not something as similar to 5e as 5e was to Pathfinder. Yeah,
that's why I'm kind of thinking my 4D20 system might be a zine in February.
Yeah.
As I tinker with that. But yeah, I mean,
how much do you feel like you need to have finished before you launch the Kickstarter? With comics, I feel like I have to be completely finished. Or darn near. Like I have to be 95% finished. When you do the Kickstarter, how far along do you think you do? Halfway? 20%? 80%?
Realistically, almost done. Just because, again, I'm a procrastinator with a short attention span. It gets easily distracted.
Right. And I think the more you can show a person, the more you can show people without giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about that. Like, I can't really give everybody the stat blocks because it's, there's a limited number of stat blocks and I can't hand them out because then what are people buying?
Mm-hmm.
But I do get that idea but having it close enough to be done where you could talk about it in a way that gives them the sense of authority, like, oh, this guy, it's done. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I think it's Kickstarter sell better if you just say, look, everything's done. We just have to do pre-press and get it printed. I think that's the way to, because honestly, lately I've been on that looks good. I'm going to buy that. I just got one yesterday, a Kickstarter that I did. Bugbears in Borderlands.
Huh.
And it's their own game, it looks like.
You weren't sure what it was when you got it?
Yeah, I just went, the price tag's not that big of a deal. They got 2 hours left. I'm just going to jump on and,
What, can I ask what the price tag was?
I can't remember. I think maybe it's $25.
Is it on soft cover?
Yeah.
Black and white interior?
Yeah.
Huh. Why are we killing ourselves, Dan, with these full color nonsense?
Because they look pretty. And this is, to be honest with you, I like just the black and white books more.
Sure. It's a classic feel.
But I think I got it because it was like, okay, this is their own self-contained game. Not too big. And I go, okay, that's something I want to do with 4D20. So I think I got it mostly just to see, okay, how did they do theirs?
Smart. I can see that even that it definitely has a print on demand quality. It looks like the type on the spine is a little bit off, like it's curling around the edge.
Yeah, it's total print on demand.
That breaks my heart. Is the last page a little ISBN number from KDP?
No, somebody else.
Or it says print. If it's a barcode that says printed where it was printed.
Printed in USA, and it's a little.
Yeah, that's a lightning source.
Yeah,
that's a lightning source print shop. That's Ingram Spark.
Yeah, which doesn't bother me. I mean, they kind of filled it up with player character sheets on 3 pages, same player character sheet, rather than have the blank pages. But this does not this is okay quality for me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's quite a bit of art in there.
Yeah. It's all black and white art. So, I mean, it's a cheap print run. Some kind of silly artwork, too.
But I mean, artwork, I mean, even if they paid $50 an illustration, that looks like quite an investment.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, it's definitely based off of 5e, it looks like, or some sort of edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, so I'll check it out and just kind of use it, see how it is, see what's in it that works. But then also, I just got charged $65 or something for the new Monty Python Kickstarter that just closed. And then I read this morning there's going to be a Walking Dead one coming out from the people that did Blade Runner, which I got the Blade Runner book, So
that's great.
Yeah, I mean. I think that's my next thing, other than keeping Catacombs and Comedians going with, new Catacombs and Comedians material for, the fans. This sounds weird saying fans, but your fan base.
Fans. Yeah. You can say fans.
Is coming up with my own fun little game. Because I got another one here. Let's see, where is it? Oh, come on. Oh, I guess I already moved it, but here's part of it, This looks like a character sheet with some card. It was Gozer was the name of the game, and it's already on my shelf over there. But I'm just buying these little indie self-contained games now, just doing research to see, because I think that's what my 4D20, because I want it to have a sort, it's based on pot, so I want it to have a sort of zine slapped together
Sure.
feel to it. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
there's
not,
a couple of
yeah, I'm
there's
not,
one-
I'm not hiring you to do any of the artwork because that's too fancy for a project like this. I need,
there's a lot of Zine Quest ones that were like they very much were old school, down and dirty. They looked like they might as well have been drawn on, lined loose leaf paper. It was like they were very old school. I love them. I think I backed a couple of them, and black and white dungeon maps where the rooms are black and the room number is it's just there's a number
yeah,
where you go look for what the room is. It's like so old school and cool. I think there's a certain amount of where I absolutely am thinking I don't have to worry about appealing to the Critical Role fans. You know what I mean? If there are younger players who are, who just want to draw their sexy tieflings, that's cool. I'm like, I feel like the old school folks are a perfectly legit demographic to go for, and there's a ton of us.
mm-hmm.
And we're all at that age where we're like, man, I'll spend $10 on this thing. I'll spend $15 on this thing.
Yeah.
It looks cool and funny and retro.
Yeah, we're all the age where they're using violent femme music for our commercials now.
Right.
All right. I think that's a solid thing to end on. Is there anything else going on or?
No, I can say that using BackerKit for fulfillment for my last project was weird because I use Kickstarter calculated my shipping for me, and that caused a problem with BackerKit system where, like, the idea being that if you paid for shipping when you backed the project, and then you came to the BackerKit checkout system and you wanted to add another book, I didn't want to double the cost of shipping, right? Because you've already paid shipping. I wanted to add a little bit more. So the idea was that every time you add something from my cart, add something to the cart from BackerKit, it adds a little bit, which meant if you were coming in off the street, there had to be a set base price for shipping. So when you get added that first item, it's the equivalent of what you would have paid for shipping over on Kickstarter, right? So the add-on amount plus this base amount, boom, gets you where you need to go. And that's how I've done the last few, and that was fine. This is the first one where I've had so many digital products, STLs and PDFs, and so many people want the PDF of Intoximancy, but you go there, you try to buy the $5 PDF, and it wants to charge you $4 shipping. That base price. So it's messed things up. And I ran some Facebook ads after the campaign ended. I'm wondering, why are people not jumping on this? And I think people were clicking on it. They just got there and wasn't going to pay $4 shipping for a PDF.
Right.
So I have to come up with a whole new system. The BackerKit solution for this was to create duplicate products. So if you back the campaign, basically you would see this version of the PDF, and then it's just whole thing that's messed up. It's the whole thing's messed up. So what I'm doing is I'm setting up my own pre-order site on my website for just the digital stuff, STLs, PDFs. So if someone wanted the Intoximancy PDF, if they missed the campaign, if there are thousands of viewers miss the campaign, they'll be able to go to my website this week, and I'll start running a Facebook ads again, taking them to my website where they can download the PDFs and the STL files without the shipping charge. So it's a pain in the butt. I don't know how I'm going to handle it for Zine Quest. I have to come up with a whole other system that will handle the fact that, I would love if it's great that the campaign did well, but I think if 450 people back the PDF, I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't have to print anything. I wouldn't have to do anything. I could just email them a file and next project now. I love that the book exists. I love that the hardcover book can stand on a shelf, even as thin as it is. Anyway, it's interesting and more stuff to figure out. I'll talk more about it as I crack that.
Are you going to throw it on like drive-through RPG?
I wasn't thinking about doing that. I've never done that. I don't know if it just gets buried in their system.
But a lot of traffic and a lot of eyes are there. So
really, I mean, is there any kind of organic discovery there? A friend of mine currently has a Kickstarter on BackerKit, who's doing their own has a Kickstarter on BackerKit. Boy, that's terrible. Has a crowdfunding campaign on BackerKit instead of Kickstarter, and it's not doing great. it's like they usually do great campaigns on Kickstarter. Suddenly they're on backer kit and it's not doing so well because the organic discovery is not there.
Right. I mean, if you just put the basic PDF up there, I don't see why. It's just another outlet.
It
that
couldn't
you're
hurt.
selling it at. Yeah. And
Yeah, it's just if I sell it on my side, I get $5. If I sell it on their side, I don't know what I get.
you get 70% of that.
Okay.
So you get $3.50.
Okay, that's not bad. That's still, if I presume that's money I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, that's fine.
Right.
Do they watermark it or anything?
You can put your own watermark on it. Yeah.
I mean,
You
do they
can-
Watermark?
No,
Do
it doesn't
they-
say from drive-through or anything like that. You've got your own. I've done a lot of stuff on drive-through, and it's
Is there any kind of digital rights management? Like when people buy a PDF from my website, at the bottom of it, when it would say, dantaylor@gmail.com.
Yeah.
This book belongs to dantaylor@gmail.com. That happens. That gets put on every page of the PDFs I sell.
no.
on
You
my
could
site.
do that with drive-through as well.
Sweet. That's what I want. I love the idea that if someone buys a book from me, a digital book, that they could share it with their friends because it belongs to you. I want people to be able to share. I don't want people to be able to dump it on an FTP site without having to go through and manually strip their name off every page, or at least owning up to the fact that they're the generous one who did that.
Right. No. You can definitely do that.
Okay, cool.
And they got great promotional tools. You can be featured on their webpage and banners and what?
For a price?
Yeah.
Oh.
But you earn. I think it's not that expensive.
Okay.
And if you can you get featured in their newsletter that they send out. I mean, I had a book go up on their newsletter that I didn't ask them to. They just happened to, it was like one of their, new release picks. This looks good.
What was the book?
Probably My Metal Kettle Tea Shop.
Huh. I don't know about that. What is that?
It's just a thing I did for D&D. It's kind of a setting. Rather than starting your campaign in a dungeon, in a tavern, I said start it in this tea shop, and I just, got a Dyson map, and I came up with all the room descriptions and the people that worked in it, and I'll send you the link, or I'll send you the PDF of it.
And why wasn't that an upsell for Catacombs and Comedians?
Because it's just, it doesn't fit it's not part of that world.
Not thematically appropriate. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just part of a failed project from before.
But you got me thinking now about, okay, so if I do a version of a drive-through RPG, then the last page of my PDF has to be an ad for my comics, and then I have to get those people to read my books. Well, you're awesome, Dan. I'm sorry about everything that's happened. I'm so glad you're okay. It seems like you've got a healthy plan.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and again, I was looking forward to this, our Sunday morning chat, and we've got. Obviously, we're not doing one on December 25th, right?
No. I got something going on that day. I forget.
Yeah, I think I got family stuff going on. But the 18th, the day before my birthday, we're going to have a guest who's a sensitivity reader.
That's
so
great.
we're gonna figure out cultural sensitivity and all that sort of stuff, and figure out how we can make our games that we're going to create without being
Jerks.
Yeah, that was a good way, without being dicks to the marginalized elements of our human society. That was a weird sentence.
No, I like it. There's a scourge of thoughtlessness going on right now, and I like pushing against that.
So this is something I've been wanting to get somebody on, and we'll have more information on that because we're going to talk again. Are we on for next Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, good. It might be a little shorter that Sunday because I've got a game.
Makes sense.
Got a Titans game.
We prioritize games here.
All right, Steve, I will chat at you next week. And again, thanks for anybody who just dropped in and watched for 2 or 3 minutes. We appreciate it. We'll try to get you to stick around longer next time. And we'll have more, this is the place to find out Catacombs and Comedians news, because I tell Steve everything about it, because I just do. And it's the easiest way to find that out. And plus you get to, Steve's inspiring words and your own creative elements. All right, Steve, I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.